Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage. You know, when you're working with paint, you're refinishing, there's a lot of things like water sanding, buffing, a lot of things you have to do to make it right. Like this Cadillac, this hood was just refinished. Now this car spent most of its life outside. There's a lot of flaws in the paint, but the hood was beyond. So it's been shot, got a lot of clear on it, and you can see it's got a lot of orange peel. So before you go grab your sander and your buffer and so on and spend a lot of time doing it, particularly if you're doing one of these nice custom jobs where you're laying a lot of clear down and water sanding between coats, here's an easy way to save you a lot of paper, a lot of time, and a lot of labor. Dave, show them what we got, pal.
Okay, Sam, folks, we got Rod Carpenter here with Quick Cut Sander. Now, here's what he's got. This is going to take a lot of time out of getting your paint ready to go and polishing it out, wet sanding, the whole thing. Show us what you have here, Rod. Now, this is something I noticed right off the bat. Tell me about this.
Well, what we have is a regular standard DA sander, 2.5 millimeter, and we put a water system on here through machine parts and convert it to a wet sander.
Okay, so this is a little bit special on that, and with this is going to allow you to wet sand in about half the time it would normally take, right?
Or less.
Or less. And you have everything to go with it, right? You got different levels of sanding here?
We have to start with on this car, we're going to use this firm black pad.
Okay, that's nice and firm.
And that's good and dense. And then we have the intermediate red pad, which is not quite as dense. And we also have a memory foam pad, which takes the shape of whatever car that you're going to sand.
Okay, and then you also have the various levels of sanding disc as well.
Yes, there's no need to go real coarse at all.
Yeah.
It just makes more
You're
work.
better off to go lighter than heavier, right?
A lot lighter if you can.
Right. Okay, well, you got the equipment right here. Now, you also have a pump that goes with this with a little filter on there so you don't get any debris coming up through your sander here, right?
Correct. It's a stainless steel 40-micron filter, so you will never get any debris that should possibly get in the reservoir up through the sander onto the paint being sanded.
All right, well, Sam is all set up over here. Let's see how well he can do it.
All right, setting up our quick cut sander. Here's our pump with our filter assembly. We're going to set it in a bucket of water here. Now, you want to add a couple drops of detergent. Acts as a lubricant, breaks the surface tension, lets it all flow good. And of course, we got our air line hooked up, and then we're going to plug the pump in. We don't plug the pump in until it's in the water. Use a grounded cord, and of course, this goes to a GFCI protected outlet, and we're in pretty good shape. Now, what I've decided, looking at the finish in this Cadillac, I think we're going to start with like a 2000 grit sandpaper. That's not aggressive at all. It's actually a pretty smooth paper. We're all hooked up. We're pretty much ready to go here. What do you think of my selection?
Well, Sam, I think you did a very good job, a very good selection using the firm black pad, which will allow it to be cut through all of the orange peel and make it nice, show car flat.
Okay, we can go from 2,000 down to 3,000 down to 4,000 if we want,
We
right?
can go all the way up to 4,000 grit, and if you did have a lot more orange peel than this, you could potentially go to 1,500 grit if needed, but this is a perfect fit.
It's water sand.
So we'll just sand away here.
Okay. Get you all set.
You see the water coming out from that distribution ring? Then we adjust that down to where you get just the amount of water you need. You don't have to overflood the place.
Okay.
Wet it down and start sanding. Simple as that. Just stay away from the edge. Notice how milky that's already gotten. And that's the clear. That's cutting that clear perfectly flat. Would you hand me that squeegee just over there? And I'm going to sand a little bit here and show Sam how easy it is to do. And then I'm going to turn it over.
Let me try this.
And here he is, Sam.
So this
Put
is
this in your left hand and then squeegee as you go.
This is a great way to water sand. By the way, I'm not putting any pressure, and stay away from the edges. I can see that. That's a great way to see where you're making progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even have to stop the sander to squeegee. And this, notice for this little bit on the hood, it's only taken about less than a minute.
Absolutely. Take your time, let the sander do the work. This is, again, the easiest water sanding I've done. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up this hood and buff it.
Welcome to this week's Steel Spotlight. And yes, I am smelling this car because this is a 1952 Chevy Styleline, and it smells new. I mean, like a new car, believe it or not. I'm with John, who built this car, and John, everything's new about this old car.
Yeah, everything on this vehicle from frame off is completely brand new on this vehicle.
You know, the thing I noticed too is it still has that old school look. This is what this industry is all about. This is what we love at Steel, is the classics.
Yeah, it was this car's complete stock restoration.
Including the engine?
Yes, the engine is a 235 cubic inch. It's up because it has a power glide in it.
This is one of your customers, but it's also a family car for that customer, right?
Yes, it is. It's customer's family heirloom. He was actually the first person to drive the car. He was 16 in 1952, and he was the first person to drive the car off the dealer's lot, and he remembers the car had 0.6 of a mile on it.
So he's not going to mind that I'm walking around his car sniffing his car, is he?
Absolutely not. He did the same thing on Friday when we finished putting the interior in it.
Because seriously, ladies, if you could have perfume that smelled like the inside of this car, we'd be very happy.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Hurst, America's #1 shifter. Steel Rubber, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. And by Gray Area Technologies, in it for the long run.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, you can see Rod, he's now rubbing out with a foam pad where we water sanded. Now this is the first cut using some pretty aggressive compound. Now a lot of you guys are good with a wool pad, but if you're not good with a wool pad, you know it generates a lot of heat. As soon as you clip an edge, you take the paint off it. This is a dense white foam pad, much more forgiving. Is it cutting pretty good?
Looks like it's cutting fine.
Yeah. So again, with our first step of compound, Rod's rubbing this all out. Then, of course, what we'll do is we'll wipe it down. We'll go back with the machine glaze and a finishing pad, bring the luster up, and all of the orange peel and a lot of the solvent pops and all of the other things that were on this paint will be gone. You'll be real surprised. You know, this looks pretty good, Rod. Nice and smooth. Got rid of most of the orange peel, so now it's been wet sanded, real easy. And, of course, we've gone through with the aggressive pad and the aggressive compound. Now it's a finishing pad, nice soft one.
A nice soft finishing pad.
Yep. And then, of course, we've got machine glaze. I'll put a little bit of this on. Is that enough for you?
Oh, that's plenty.
All right, so I'm going to let him go ahead and we'll polish this out, and it's going to make it look like new. You can see how nice this looks, I'll tell you what. Now, there's a few little scratches and pops in it, but, you know, we did this with 2,000 sandpaper.
That's correct.
You could go to 1,500, but, you know, start with the least aggressive. You can always go back and take off more. And the quick cut sander did a great job, made it real easy to water sand it. And then you go through with your 2 different pads. And again, if you guys are expert with a wool pad, it'll do a nice job. But these I like because they don't scare me. And we get all this here done. It looks terrific. Maybe we get Davey to rub the rest of this out. What do you say?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Are you game, Dave?
Yeah, right. Well, Rod and Sam have done a great job over there, but, you know, folks, you don't have to always do that, especially you got a car that you just want to clean up and you want to put a nice wax and polish job on it. All you have to do is clean the paint first. And what Rod has brought along here, this is called the claper. And you've heard about claying the paint. Well, what that does, that takes off any of the surface dirt or any little imperfections you have on there, so the paint is nice and clean before you put on your wax and polish. Well, this is what he's brought here. You can see this is a clay pad, but it sticks right here onto this nice holder rather than a block or a brick that you have to use. Makes it a lot easier to hold it. And what you have here is your clay guide. You spray this on the paint and then rub this around there and then wipe it off. And once you do that, you can feel a big difference between what you just did and the old paint. Get all that dirt off and put on your nice wax and polish, and it's going to look great. Anyway, we want to thank Rod for stopping by, bringing all these great products with us. We've run out of time. We'll see you again next time here at Motorhead Garage.